Folks, do you like football? Do you like fantasy football? Do you like turkey? Do you like whiskey? Well, my next guest loves all of them, I assume. But anyway, it's been a long time coming, sir. How are we?
Griff, I'm doing good, my friend. I'm ready with everything except for the whiskey. That might be a little bit later, but we're good to go, man. Thanksgiving football.
Oh,
Let's
yeah.
go.
First question I have for you, because this video came up on my TikTok today.
Okay.
Fantasy football Thanksgiving Day MVPs. It was
Ooh.
Antonio Gibson in 2020. It was Josh Allen the 2 years next, 21 and 22. DK Metcalf last year. Who brings that home this year if you had to pick someone?
I will give you a dark horse, and I don't know why the feeling keeps hitting me. Drew Lock for the Giants, Griff. Drew Lock. I'm also putting plus 600 anytime tutty bet. Dare I say, Drew Lock might be the best quarterback option the Giants have had all year. I think he is going to be. So we saw him run around in Denver last year. He doesn't even have to win to get fantasy MVP. I could see him rushing in, tossing in one. Just don't turn the ball over. Like Giants got nothing to lose. They're playing loose. The Cowboys are more desperate.
Yeah, exactly. You read it exactly. I'm going to go to the first game for mine because, and this is going to bleed right in here. So, folks, by the way, we're going to talk fantasy. We're going to talk all things NFL for this weekend. But my big one is the first game, which is Detroit versus Chicago. Give me Sam Laporta.
Please, I have him on 3 freaking fantasy teams and then squat for me. I beg you. Right.
So I say that for a reason. Why? Sonic and Knuckles is the fun pick to go with, but honestly, I know Detroit's lost so many in a row in Thanksgiving. They've won 10 in a row. The Bears are just sliding. The fact that Dan Campbell has never won on Thanksgiving is something I think the Lions get up for, and I think it's going to be a long day if you're a Chicago Bears fan tomorrow. So it's just adding into, I think this game's a rout. I don't see a world where this game's close. I know divisional games, you're not supposed to say that, but I think Detroit's just going to keep proving they are who we thought they were.
You like the 9.5 for the Lions tomorrow?
Since it's dropping too. The line dropped from 10.5 to 9.5.
Yeah. I saw that.
The more a line drops one way, you go the opposite. So everyone, the money's coming in on the Bears. That's my thing. I think a lot of people are banking on, the Bears, bad luck. No, that still continues.
I'm with you. I was nervous at 10.5, 9.5. I like it.
Yeah, I can easily see like a 30-20 game.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I could see that easily, for sure. And the Bears, to their credit, I like the strategy a little bit more with their new offensive coordinator trying to take a bit of pressure off of Caleb Williams and focusing more on the run game, which is smart to do with a rookie quarterback. So I can see it being an interesting ball game.
I can see that. I can also see potential if you want another fantasy MVP, potentially DeAndre Swift, another name to watch for.
Ooh, yep.
Dallas and the New York Giants. Look, I think this game's going to be more exciting than people think just because whenever you always label a game as bad, not saying it's going to be entertaining, but I just think it's going to be, I think it's going to be better. It's going to be sloppy, but it's football. So you're going to sit there and watch it. I always was saying Dallas, but I think that the Giants cover the 3.5.
Yeah. You know what? It's the perfect time for this game to be on because instead of like 4:30 Eastern, people are getting the dinner for Thanksgiving dinner ready and you can't keep poking your head in. It's the perfect game to have on because you don't have to poke your head in. Yeah. You get dinner ready and you have it on in the background and if something happens, you pop your head in.
The more Americans I listen to, so obviously for those you don't know out there, Andy and I are fun. We're a fun pairing because he lives an hour east of Toronto. I live an hour west of Toronto.
Right.
So that's where it's kind of funny. The other thing is too, we're Canadian, and I've come to learn that Americans, for some reason, eat Thanksgiving dinner at like 2:30 in the afternoon tomorrow. I don't know why they do it.
Oh, like a late lunch, just like a big okay.
And then you basically, after your insensitive uncle says something, you go like basically the one who's like criticizing the game and all that stuff will like take a nap, and then apparently at 6:00 you go and gorge some more. So that's the one thing I've come to learn with Thanksgiving football.
America.
Yeah.
America. Eat your turducken, get your Budweiser, and go have yourself a day. Exactly. I'm with you. You know what, Mike? Do you have a American Thanksgiving football tradition? Because I got a personal one.
Besides, well, my old job, I would try to be done at work as quickly as try to take just a day off work. But
Yeah. For me, I would always take the day off work. Now, I do have to work tomorrow, but I still plan on doing my pizza. And we got a bunch of TVs in the studio. So we're going to have the TV, and I always got just a big old pizza. And I just have it, and I just kind of eat it throughout the afternoon. And just gorge on the whole pizza and enjoy the day.
There's probably going to be pizza in the Fortune tomorrow. So, fun fact, my wife and I did a Costco shopping trip about a couple days ago, and we bought, like, you know how Costco is for everyone out there. So we bought like one that's like 2 or 3, but then if we end up having people over, because I know I was talking to one friend, even though I feel like those plans may fall through, if those plans happen, because I basically told them, like, hey, I got to work tomorrow, so my plan is I'm probably going to miss a bit of the Detroit game, but I'm probably going to be done in time to where I get to watch the second half of that game, the second half of the first game, the second game, and the third game. So probably so back to my story, we're either going to make the pizza we bought, or we're going to spend more money if we have people over, because that's what you do. You don't feed your friends frozen pizza. You don't do that.
Well, it depends on the quality of friend, perhaps. I have tears.
he was in my wedding, so I can't do that to him.
Okay. Well, all right. Maybe he gets a fresh pizza then. That's okay.
Yes. Green Bay and Miami, which honestly, the narrative around this game is so fun because it's going to be cold. It's going to be freezing. I think this is a cold game the Dolphins actually get. You know, Green Bay's coming off of a massive win against the Niners. You've got a Miami team in a spot where they have to win out. Everyone's thinking, oh, Green Bay should win this game easily. Maybe this is the game Tua puts on a Superman cape in primetime.
Ooh, well, as long as he's not diving headfirst into things as Superman. That seems to be his problemo. Slide, you fool. It's 3.5, possibly for a reason there. I still think the Pack pulls it out. Miami's going to have to prove to me that when it gets cold, and we're talking like the sun is down at Lambeau in late November, this is the time typically the Dolphins fall apart. But you're right, they need to win. So do they? Do they have the chutzpah to go get it done? Or does Jordan Love and the Pack put on a show for the home team? That 3.5 seems just about right. I don't see it being a rout at all. I would take the Pack to cover on this one.
And also for Thanksgiving, I'm going to say this. I think the over hits in the first game. I think the over, I don't want to fool with it. The second game, it's just too risky to play with. The third game, this is under 47.5. This is like a 23-20, 17-14, 20-17 range. Like a lot of field goals.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think it gets chilly. The points get knocked down a little bit here, and they start cruising. So I'm with you. Maybe a heavy run game too. Could be a nice fantasy day on the ground.
Potentially Devon Achane, Josh Jacobs. Who knows? And then we got some Black Friday football. You know, I feel like everyone's like, oh, why is this game at 3? I'm like, it's the perfect time. Everyone shops in the morning and come home. You watch your football. It's great.
This game's going to suck. But I'm sorry, brother. This game's going to suck.
Oh, I know. It's going to be bad. But Andrew Siciliano, your play-by-play voice, your Cleveland Browns.
That's right.
The best team in football against the worst team in football. That's a quote that he tweeted from Antonio Pierce. I'll tell you this. The Kansas City Chiefs win this game, but by God's good green nature, you cannot get me to bet that 13 points. You just can't.
So you think Raiders cover?
Oh, Chiefs win by 7-10. And, you know, because, like, the Raiders play the Chiefs tough, but also, too, I would tell you this. And we're going to get into your team, but I would rather trust your now injured quarterback on a game-winning drive more than I would trust Patrick Mahomes to cover a spread right now.
Oh boy. What, you're saying Deshaun Watson?
Yeah.
Oh, my God. I would trust Deshaun Watson with nothing. I wouldn't trust him to hold something. I wouldn't trust him to be in charge of anything right now. No.
I just don't trust Patrick with. I just can't trust Patrick with the big number. Look at last week against Carolina.
Yeah. Well, geez. The thing is, too, if you're the Super Bowl champ, you get everybody's best shot, right? Plus, it's a division game. The problem is it Aiden O'Connell going to be starting for the Raiders?
I believe so, because Desmond Ridder, you can't play him.
That is a throwing up of the stuffing from Thanksgiving dinner. Oh my, that is gross. Yeah, Minshew's out. O'Connell sucks. Come on. Look, could the defense do something? You're right, and I feel you as far as they probably won't win as much. The problem is, if you want to bet on this game, you can't take the money line. It's minus 820. I don't want to bet on any team thing on this game. You could interest me in the plus 115 on Travis Kelce anytime touchdown. and maybe depending on the running back situation, if it's Amir Abdullah again, who fantasy-wise, I picked him up in one league, did fantastic for a waiver wire pickup. If he's solo, you could maybe interest me in a rushing yard prop, perhaps. But other than that, I don't want a whole lot of betting options to do with this one.
There is one that it's a player that is, he's been very underrated, very not knowing about. Look, Amir Abdullah is plus 195.
Okay.
Give me the rookie Brock Bowers at plus 250 to get into the
Ooh.
end zone.
Wait. You can get a anytime tutty plus 250 Brock Bowers?
FanDuel.
Sign me up. The season Brock Bowers has had, and they're giving you plus 250.
Yep.
What am I missing here? That's great.
I think this game spread is so high, and I think this overall dynamic is because everyone's trusting I think they're basically trusting the Chiefs defense to have a rebound game more than anything. That's what I think. The spread's high and those odds.
And can O'Connell get anybody the ball? It's the other.
He did it last year on Christmas Day.
Yeah, I guess. Man,
holiday miracles happen.
But and the Raiders are blowing that whole thing up. Antonio, he's getting fired.
Oh, yeah.
And one and done. I knew he would be a one and done coach last year when they brought him in interim. It's like the players love him. I'm like, can't you see that this is a blip? This is an instant blip. It happens all the time. It's not going to carry over. Oh, and you didn't get him a quarterback. Yeah, it's like, and you didn't get him a quarterback. Hello, like you can see that a mile away. Then you got Tom Brady taking over, and I guess the Raiders will be drafting a QB.
Yeah, you got to assume they're in the top 4 right now. They're probably going to draft someone, but they have someone to compete with, and that's the Jacksonville Jaguars, who host the Houston Texans this week. Ooh. And the spread's at +4 for Jacksonville, but I'm going to go the opposite way and go Houston because the Houston Texans are getting a bounce back here. I know CJ Stroud's not had the best year, but if you're the Texans and you want to show that, hey, we're still a good team, this is the kind of game you rebound. This is a rebound game for them.
Right, and we know the Jags have no home field advantage. They're pretty much a London team that plays in Jacksonville sometimes. Yeah. And it's a division. Again, we have to say it's a division battle, so could be tough. But I'm with you. I think Houston needs to be the time that Houston has to stop messing around. Okay, you've overcome injuries. You're getting back. You want to prove and start your hot streak now. This is the time you want to start to ramp up for the playoffs. And I'm with you. I think they cover that 4. I like that.
I do too. This next game is fascinating to me. It's the Falcons and the Chargers. So you have both teams coming off. Look, for as much as the Atlanta Falcons can improve, they're always going to find a way to mess up. And also, since it's our last talk, I want to say something. And also, two things. I'm going to sit on good fantasy football takes. One, I said don't draft Travis Kelce, and it's kind of right there. The other one,
first half of the season,
I said the draft Drake London.
Yeah, ball. He's like I believe he's WR7 in PPR.
Yep,
in fantasy.
I got him in the 5th or 6th round in one of my leagues.
Wow, good for you.
Yeah, it was one of those cued eye picks, just boom. But the thing with this game is, though, the Chargers are the kind of team that will prey on weak offenses, and they'll get exposed by good offenses. And we saw what the Bengals did to them 2 weeks ago, and we saw what Lamar did to them 48 hours ago. So I'm going to trust the Falcons here. I don't like it. It's a pick'em game, but I think this is the one Atlanta gets back, especially considering how they lost their last 2. They lost badly in New Orleans, and then they just got their butts kicked by the Broncos.
I am going to go with the Chargers here. I just think they're so well coached, and you have to I put the Harbaugh Bowl, Ravens, Chargers, the Harbaugh brothers in a silo. I was asked on ESPN radio earlier today. I was like, what do you take away from this? And I said, I don't take away anything from it. I think it's 2 brothers who know each other better than anybody else on the planet in a chess match, and John won again. And so I think with this Chargers team is a year away from being a true contender. And I think if they have a good draft and free agent season, we could start to see a shift in that AFC West with the Chiefs a little bit. That team is going to be a contender. I think they go into Atlanta, get the win back.
So I'm not discrediting them. I also think too, because they have the Chiefs next Sunday night on Sunday Night Football. So
That'd be
I'm
good.
that potential like look ahead spot or like I said, I think either team can win this game. I'm putting blind faith into the Falcons, and I'm not totally comfortable with it, but I'm gonna use an acronym here because I don't want to say the words out loud, but we're gonna FA and FO with this game.
We're gonna let's remember this fantasy wise. If you're a J.K. Dobbins owner, it got you.
Gus Edwards on the waiver wire this morning.
It got you. I'm very interested how that running back committee is going to work because remember, Kamani Vidal was inactive, but he will be activated. You have Hassan back there too. The advantage goal line would go Edwards, but how does the ball get distributed? It's very nerve-wracking if you are relying on one of those Chargers running backs right now. I'm interested to see how it works, though.
I'm in one of my leagues, not the one we're in, but there's another one where I literally am 2 games out of a playoff spot with I think 2 or 3 games left in the season. So I just basically I'm kind of blindly shooting shots at this point, hoping it's basically throwing something at a wall and expecting it to stick. That's essentially what I'm doing by
right.
Edwards.
Yeah.
Washington versus the Tennessee Titans. It's the same thing, just Jacksonville, Houston, but in reverse. Washington bounces back after that bad performance last week.
Well, they better.
That's the thing. If they lose this game, there's gonna be a lot of people jumping off that hype train.
Absolutely. And this is a case too where Jane Daniels has been nursing a rib injury. You have Bo Nix catching up in the Rookie of the Year conversation.
I was wrong about him. I was so wrong.
Bo Nix, me too. A quick side note. I think there's something to be said for the experienced college quarterback. Okay, coming out, having the experience, not being playing a couple years, whatever. Like Bo Nix could almost get a medical degree with the amount of time he was in college. Okay, like he was poised. He overcame quick. I wonder if we see a bit of a trend on that. If that continues, do you see a more seasoned guy who maybe doesn't have all the hype or the athletic upside, but a guy who can come in and start winning games right away, like a Bo Nix? That's it's going to be interesting with that one. He's been real good.
Absolutely. I absolutely can see it. I think people are kind of done with projects. We see them, a couple of them have been benched this year and we'll talk about them, but then they come back and they've been looking better. But you know what? I think people are done with that. They want proven. They want, hey, we saw him in college. He looks really good here. It's not, he started a little bit in college and he may be good in the pros. I think those days are behind us. If you want experiments, you pick them later on. You don't take them in the first round. You take them in the 4th, 5th, 6th rounds. And you know what? If they become something, they become something.
100%. I think the Commanders are going to win. I would take the Titans to cover that 6.5. Titans defense is stingy. I think the Titans defense can hold them a little bit here. It's not a great bunch of lines to bet on because the Titans covering is -122. Commanders winning by a touchdown is +100. The money line isn't I don't really like this. I don't really like anything about this game on the betting side. Like I'm interested in the result, what happens.
I would avoid it betting.
Yeah, I don't like it. I get kind of the ick, as the kids say, from it.
If that's my thing. If I ever get the ick, or if I see a game where I'm just like, I don't know. If you start second guessing yourself, that means
get out.
Get out.
Yep, 100%.
It's like when I'm at Woodbine. When you're ahead. If the dealer changes, get up and get out.
Get out. You see a race. You're not sure on the horse you pick. Get out of it. Get the next one.
Exactly. You just gotta continually move on to the next one as I vent for time, because that's the con to having the tracker is not knowing what game comes next, which it's the Vikings and the Cardinals. This is another tough one to read, but I'll be honest with you. They only scored 6 points last week and the Vikings scored 30. Give me that over 45.5.
Ooh, I like that. Inside in Minnesota, right?
Kyler Murray, fringe MVP candidate.
On the turf. And Arizona's been quietly sort of, they lost the last one, but they're right in that mix in that NFC West, which is just clogged up. Let me see their away. On the road, they're 2-3, better at home. I think Minnesota wins that game, but I like the totals here. And I think the offense, this could actually be a sneaky fun game.
It's one of those 1:00 games that gets showcased a lot by Scott Hansen around.
Yeah, I'll be popping up.
This is a big witching. I'm throwing up the W. I don't know if you can see my webcam. Throw out the W. This is a witching hour candidate game. James Conner, great for fantasy as well. Another great fantasy player, Trey McBride.
Ooh, yep. Trey McBride. How about as well, Jordan Addison? Like, it caught me by surprise this week when I looked at his fantasy numbers. I was like, holy cow, how Jordan Addison having a great year.
He had like 169 yards.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Justin Jefferson gets the headlines, rightfully so. But Jordan Addison, I'm like, okay, I see you, buddy. Not bad.
Yeah, I know. I would take Justin Jefferson anytime touchdown this week, though, because he didn't get in last week.
Get him the ball. Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to be an absolute rock star. A little inconsistent. Maybe he could get in too. I don't know.
You know who Marvin Harrison Jr. for fantasy football, though, is this year's Bijan Robinson. Overhyped as a rookie. Next year, he'll probably fall a little bit, which I was actually surprised. Bijan was still going top 10. I think Marvin Harrison Jr. will probably be like a third or a fourth round pick. I think next year is the year he truly pops off because they have to get someone else that they can. The Cardinals have to get another veteran receiver in there that you can kind of help get Marvin Harrison.
Yeah, get him target because Michael Wilson's not cutting it. Yeah, I could see that. And Bijan got the love because the running back position's so thin, and you have many more options at wide receiver. But I'm with you. I would put me down for some Marvin Harrison shares in next year's fantasy draft.
Yeah, like if you have him in a startup dynasty league, you're good. But if you just doing regular PPR like I usually do, like this year I was not that I was never like crazy on him. I just always thought like, look, it's going to take some time to go, especially after that first game too, when people were pissed. 4 yards.
I know, and I didn't really know what to expect out of Kyler Murray either. He was kind of in a tweener mode this year, right? So.
If there was he may win comeback player of the year because he had the ACL injury, but he's looked like he's really matured as a person. And that's why I was saying potential fringe MVP candidate. Like I wouldn't put my eggs in a basket and vote him in, but he's definitely playing a lot better and he's definitely matured as a player and an individual.
Well, maybe because they put now the restriction, you have to be injured and come back for comeback player, right?
Correct. He tore his ACL late 2022.
It's essentially the Joe Flacco rule. They don't want that happening again. Where my guy Joe Flacco won it last year, coming off the couch.
Oh yeah.
I'm looking. Let's see. Fantasy wise, it's kind of been inconsistent. Has a few big games. This could be a big game though.
That's why I think this game, the over, is the enticing bet to go. I'm like you. I think the Vikings win this game, but the Cardinals have that hey, like you're
check it up.
But you're there, but you're not there yet. Kind of like what the Detroit Lions were 2 years ago.
Yeah. I'm with you. Yeah, let's do that. We'll bet that up.
My beloved Patriots and their throwback Reds taking on the Indianapolis Colts.
Ooh.
It's been high tidings for here, but I think there's been so much crap and stuff going on this week, and because it's such a toss-up, I think this game is just going to be down and ugly. But when it comes to quarterbacks more, it's going to come down to, for you as an outsider, who do you trust more? Do you trust Anthony Richardson or do you trust Drake May?
100% Drake May. Now, Anthony Richardson could pop, but if you're talking trust, from what I've seen, I got to go Drake May. And I'll tell you this, Griff, I am smashing the under on this. This is reeking of the under. 42.5. Are you kidding me? No way.
Yeah.
These defenses? No.
Yeah, no. This is going to be it's going to be an ugly football game that I get to suggest myself to, but that's because I love my team. But ultimately, I think the Colts win. For me, the season's never been about, hey, like, let's win games. The season's just been about, do we have our guy and how do we get better for next year? That's all the season's been about. I wouldn't put it in any multi-leg parlay, but as a standalone bet, I can plus 128 for the Pats to win outright at home. I don't think that's crazy. The line's 2.5. I might put a couple down on the Pats with that line. Like the Colts minus 152 money line. Like the line's 2.5. I'm not convinced that the Colts are that much better. The Patriots could win this game. I have this weird thing where I pick against them and they win, so it's just me.
There you go. The reverse. I get it.
And now a game that I wish Andy could probably say does not have a winner between the Cincinnati Bengals and the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Give me a tie.
I'm going Pittsburgh just because you don't take Mike Tomlin as an underdog. That's just you take Mike Tomlin as an underdog. Excuse me. When you give him points, you bet on Pittsburgh, and also too bounce back for them after. I got to say this hell of a win last Thursday night in the snow.
Ooh, and man, Jameis Winston at the time of his life, he's doing snow angels. He's throwing snowballs. The funny thing is, if you watch that game
off Amazon,
absolutely, yeah. If you watched that game, just the highlights. You think it was two separate games because the field was green the first half, and then the clump of snow that came off of Lake Erie. And I knew people who were at the game, they were like, Andy, it is cold. The wind was whirling. And I'm with you. Tomlin's going to have these guys. And actually, I think, and I'm sure you heard, and the listeners heard, George Pickens. I called the, remember Kenny Pickett, Baby Hands Pickett? I'm calling him Baby Pickens because he's crying because of the weather. He's a little punk, and the Pittsburgh Steelers have a problem of picking immature, crybaby, oversensitive, prima donna wide receivers. And once Antonio Brown got smoked by Geno Smith, you go to Juju Smith-Schuster, you go to Chase Claypool, you go to George Pickens. He's a whiner, he's loud, and he's obnoxious. However, I think I would take him for an anytime touchdown this week because they got embarrassed last week.
It's just the fact too is, and then with Cincinnati, it's going to be they're a sneaky watch team for new head coach next year. I think more people are starting to warm up to the idea, but and also I'll say this for tomorrow too. If either Chicago or New York get royally embarrassed, I think there's a chance we get a firing Friday morning.
Oh, really? They got to get rid of Eberflus. You cannot bring that guy back. You cannot bring that guy back.
No, but if they go out there and get dog walked by like 30 points on tomorrow afternoon, say if it's like a royal dog walking, then you have to. You don't have choice.
I'd be fine with that. You know what? I will disagree with you on the Zach Taylor firing, not because it might not be warranted, but because I know how cheap owner Mike Brown is, who is son of the great Paul Brown, who founded both the Browns and the Bengals.
Yep.
Cheapest organization in football. Griff, he doesn't fire people because he doesn't want to pay the money. Zach Taylor, I just looked it up, is signed through 2026. He ain't going nowhere. There is no way Mike Brown is paying that guy 2 years. I think he is safe and sound no matter what because Mike Brown's a cheap dude.
T. Higgins, you can wear this logo next year. We have $130 million in cap to give you all the money you want. Right. I did Jamar Chase, but I feel like they'll end up getting that done. Jets and Seahawks in a very disgusting game. Seahawks the Jets are a dumpster fire, and I love every second of it.
Do you think Aaron Rodgers is a starting quarterback next year?
No.
I agree.
He's going to go down. He's going to go down in a blaze, but not a blaze of glory. He's going to go down in a blaze and just be remembered for what happened the last 2 years. And I think he's retired. I don't think it, because who's going to want him realistically?
You can't have the circus. You're not bringing him back to New York with a new regime. Not interested.
No, but here's the other thing too with that. Also, Devontae Adams is not going to be there next year either because he's owed like $35 million and they're not paying it.
Yeah.
With him, though, it's like not like the Brett Favre situation where it's like, hey, you can walk into like a Minnesota or Tom Brady walking into Tampa. There's not a situation out there like that where there's a team that's a quarterback away from going to the Super Bowl.
No, you're right. I was trying to think. I'm like, now, are there spots you could like? You have to think of the organizations that thrive in dysfunction. Would the Raiders take him? They got no quarterback. You got Tom Brady in there. Would you have a nice little circus in Vegas for Aaron Rodgers? I don't know.
But it's if he wants to bring in his friends and Devontae Adams.
Oh, yeah.
He's
done. He used up all. He wanted to run the show, wanted to be Mr. Big Shot, and it didn't work. So now you get nothing, Rodgers. You're out.
He's got his last $10 chip at the casino. You just walk away with what you've lost, pal.
How is Seattle only 1.5-point favorites, by the way?
That's the other thing, too. See, Mike McDonald as well, sneaky coach of the year candidate.
Yeah. Yeah, the cross-country travel doesn't bother me. Yeah, I'm taking Seahawks.
I bet against the Jets until they show you that they can actually do something. A team that's literally won 3 games all year, and they had Super Bowl aspirations on them. Saints and Rams, you're gonna like this one, but I think the Darren Rizzi thing comes to an end. Give me the Rams on a bounce back.
And fantasy. Oh, we love the fantasy. Cooper Kupp, yes. Puka Nacua, yes. Kyron Williams, yes. Right, we're racking that all up. For the Saints, maybe a little MVS again. They got no other options. 2 games in a row, he's been popping. Needs the big play, but Rams can be susceptible to the long bomb. I think you go a little MVS, maybe fantasy-wise.
Yeah, I dig it. That or maybe what was I going to say too? Maybe an Alvin Kamara game finally sprinkles out.
Kamara needs a game. Taysom Hill's going to get 0 fantasy points this week. You watch after spanking my Browns a couple weeks. Disgusting. Taysom Hill.
I'm sorry.
God, hate him.
Panthers and Buccaneers. I'm going to go Buccaneers, and I'm also going to do this as well for fantasy. Give me number 13. I need him badly. That's for personal need. Like you need Sam Laporta. I need Mike Evans.
You need Mike Evans to go. And I'll tell you this, in fantasy, in 2 of my leagues, it's the rare situation where you can start both running backs, Rachaad White and Bucky Irving. I've played them multiple times this year in the same game. And for the most part, it has worked out. You get the odd one where the distribution's off. But even with Mike Evans back, it's a 1-2 punch. You're going to get up, hopefully, on Carolina early and then toss or hand off the ball to the running backs all day. Hopefully for you, Mike Evans gets a tutty early, and then Rachaad White and Bucky Irving can rock and roll for me.
Mike Evans, he did, let's see, this last week, he had 11 points. He only had 68 reception yards and 5 receptions. Bucky Irving had 27 fantasy points last week for me.
Baby. Yep. And Rachaad White did well as also. So it should be a nice fantasy day for old Bake Show kicking it in. And really, hey, Buccaneers win that one. If the Falcons lose, right back in the division race.
Oh yeah. The other thing I'll say too is with the Carolina Panthers, they're starting to win respect over, but they're still a couple years away. But I feel like they finally got the right guy in charge, and they finally have their situation figured out for now. But they'll get better, but it'll take some time.
Still need a quarterback though. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting.
The wonderful Ratbirds, as you like to call them. I love that video when you beat them. Baltimore Ravens host the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm going to say this right now. You hammer this under 51.5 points.
Ooh, okay. Yep.
Every time there's a game where it's like, these two high-flying offenses, this and this and this, you go under. 51. Yeah. Also, I rule too. If it's over 50, go under. You go under.
You know what? I didn't think of it like that. I am now. I'm with you on the under. Let's do that. I hope the Eagles win because I hate the Ratbirds. But this game, both these teams, you really can. This truly is a pick 'em. I don't want to bet on a winner for it, but I do like that under. And you look at maybe some props out of it, but really, it's like the game's going to be entertained betting wise. It makes me a little skittish. I'm getting sort of that ick walk away type of feel outside of that under bet.
So my thing with this is I think the Eagles win because there's that thing about Lamar Jackson against the NFC, and also too because Philadelphia's due. I think Philadelphia's just they're due for a loss. One of those games where and then they lose this game, and then like the city freaks out and it's fire Sirianni and it's this and this and this. Like how it is in Toronto as Leaf fans and like all that stuff.
Sure.
And then I have a beautiful take for this game. To set the scene from you. It's about 2 hours southwest of us. Beautiful Buffalo, New York, Orchard Park, Sunday Night Football.
Yeah, beautiful, would we call it?
I'm setting the tone. 30
Industrial.
degrees and snowy weather. And who is that off in the distance? Oh, but Christian McCaffrey going psycho mode in fantasy football after a terrible outing. It's going to be snowy. It's going to be windy. We know how Buffalo's run defense can be. If you have Christian McCaffrey, this is the game you're going to be thankful that you have him in your lineup. I think he's due. This is the game where everyone's reminded, the Niners have had a bad year, but CMC, he can still run the damn ball.
They're going to need to rely on him because I don't know if Brock Purdy's playing in this game.
That's the other thing, too. It's Wednesday night as we're recording this, so we still don't know, but I think this is a Christian McCaffrey get-right game.
Yeah, I like that. I think, too, did the Bills win it by...
Bills win, Niners cover.
Yeah, I was thinking that as well, Bill. That they'll win, but that 6.5 is a little. If it drops to 5.5, maybe you could talk me into it to go to take the spread. But 6.5 is a bit too spicy.
Also, with me, I had the same logic last week with the Giants-Bucks game. If the spread was at around 4 or 5, I would have taken the Giants. But the fact that it got up to 6, no, if it was 4 and 5, I took the Bucks comfortably. If it had crept up to 6 or 7, I would have taken the Giants. So the fact that if this game hovers around that 6 or 7 point mark, I'm gonna lean 49ers. But if it goes under 6 points, if you can get the Bills for a good price at 5.5 or 5, that's where I think you take Buffalo.
Yeah, and I would take check Amari Cooper's health. I think he is fully healthy now with the wrist injury. I would think of a prop at anytime touchdown Amari Cooper. This is the time of year he's going to start picking it up.
Yeah, especially considering their next 3 games are Niners, Rams, and Lions. You definitely need him to step up at this time of the year.
Yes. Oh, yeah. 100%.
Also a fun one since it's going to be cold and windy. Why not a Josh Allen anytime touchdown?
Oh, let's go. I like that.
And
why not?
Yeah. I love it. Why not? And I know you got to get out of here, so we're going to do this next one quick, but you can talk for this as much as you want. What do your Cleveland Browns? So I have two questions for you. One, what do your Cleveland Browns do against the Denver Broncos? And two, is Kevin Stefanski's job in jeopardy, or do you think he's done and he can do enough to keep himself there, or is it pretty much up to whatever management wants?
It is not in jeopardy for this week. I will say that. It very well could be. If you lose in Denver and you lose in Pittsburgh, it could very well get hot again, depending how you lose. Right now, he's safe. You won a great game with it's that close with the Browns right now. It's what does the rest of this year look like? If you lose out, you're still 3-14. That ain't great. I still would. I really, unless something comes out, he loses the room or something. I would not fire Kevin Stefanski almost under any circumstance. I would much rather replace the GM Andrew Berry. I don't necessarily trust his talent evaluation and drafts. And I would certainly, the main problem, in my humble opinion, is the chief strategy officer, that bum Paul DePodesta, that loser from Moneyball that Jonah Hill played, never won squat with the Oakland A's. You make a movie about him for some reason. Then he goes, and now he orchestrated 1-31. He's great at planning losing, great at losing strategy. I don't know about winning, but as long as he's there and helping make this quote strategy, Browns are going to have a problem because he's also a part of that Deshaun Watson nonsense. So I think the Browns' record in Denver over the years has been it's been horrific. It's a place where they just seemingly can't win. And so I think the Broncos win. The Browns cover that 5.5. That's where my money would go.
This is another game too. I think you take the under. You know, it's just going to be a cold night,
41.5.
high.
Yeah,
41. So it's kind of one of those rules when the games like that's why, like for tomorrow, for example, I love Detroit and if you have to go, we'll wrap up as soon as we can. With tomorrow, like 47.5 is my favorite number to bet because you're essentially saying to both teams, go get 3 touchdowns and a couple of field goals. It's not asking for much. But for 41.5 in a game in the elements in Denver,
at night,
it's just one of those like something's got to give.
It looks clear in 42 Fahrenheit right now. So as far as, weather in Denver this time of year, it doesn't look too bad.
But the other thing too is that I know with a lot of these games with Mr. Winston, I'm just going to go back to like last week, for example, they scored 24, but apart from that, it's been like they scored 14, 10, and then the only other game was that one against Cleveland. But since the calendar's turned to November, they've scored like the 10 and the 14, with the 14 being on the road in New Orleans. That's where I think kind of like, hey, do they score 24 again? I don't know. That's where I can see it being like this game being a game in the teens where it's your typical Monday Night Football game to kind of end the weekend.
Right. Yeah. To go, I would look at as well with Cedric Tillman being on concussion watch and with Jerry Jeudy probably being shadowed by Patrick Surtain. I don't see the lines out yet for receiving. I'm looking on FanDuel. I see passing props. I don't see receiving props. I would take a look at the David Njoku over whatever the receptions are, because I think he's going to be the number 2 and could get a lot of attention from Jameis Winston.
He didn't have the best game last week either. He was blanketed a lot by that Pittsburgh defense. So I can see that too, where the former Alabama teammates link up and lock up with each other. And then David Njoku's kind of left out there where he's like, hi, football.
Hello. Yeah. Give me that. And Njoku had the 2-point conversion last week after dropping the touchdown in the end zone. So it could have been easily a much better fantasy day for him. I could see, the over, depending what it is, the over on the receptions is a possibility. So take a look at that.
Okay. Sounds good. I honestly like it, but I'm the same with you. I think the Broncos win this game, but I do see the Browns covering the number. Before you go, do you have a quick second? We'll just to craft a little. Let's go for touchdown scores for tomorrow, if that's okay.
Oh, okay. You want to do a little parlay?
Yes.
All right. So, what do you thought? What do you got?
First one I'm going to do is the guy I said who I think could have a day tomorrow, Sam Laporta, plus 240.
Nice. Okay.
Because if anyone's asking, why not the running backs? Minus 180, minus 170. I'd rather just skip the value. The next one I'm going to go with is New York and Dallas. There's 2 receivers on my mind, and one is you know what? There's one that I was going to go for, but he was a very long shot.
Tolbert?
No. Actually, no, he's got pretty good odds. He's got the 4th highest odds.
Okay.
Plus 210. He had a bit of a fit in the locker room last week. Why don't we punch Malik Neighbors in there?
Oh, okay. Well, hopefully it's Drew Lock with the ball. I have more confidence with Drew Lock getting him the ball than Tommy Meatballs, whatever you call him. DeVito.
I don't think he traveled to Dallas, by the way.
His forearm's screwed. I'm pretty sure it's going to be Drew Lock. Give me Drew Lock. I said earlier, plus 600 anytime touchdown. I think I'm just feeling he runs one in.
Ooh, you know what? Let's sprinkle in both for fun. I'm going to quickly look on Adam Schefter's Twitter because I'm pretty sure he mentioned something about that with Brock
DeVito?
Purdy. So Brock Purdy threw one pass during the thing. So Brock Purdy, there's no real update. Also, here's the other thing too with tomorrow as well. Montgomery and St. Brown are both listed as questionable.
Ooh. Okay, little Jahmyr Gibbs action.
Yeah, that's the other reason too why I'm on Laporta, because when it's like, oh, those guys are out, you go with the other one. I'm trying. Yeah, right here. It's a long shot that Tommy DeVito's going to play.
Yeah. I think his forearm's screwed, and there's no rush. Why are you rushing to play Tommy DeVito? Unless you're openly trying to tank, which maybe they are.
They are, but they won't ever admit it.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah.
Before, I just want to look up. I got to look it up quickly to see what Mr. Locke is at right now on our friend at FanDuel. I know you're associated with DraftKings.
Plus 600 for anytime tutty.
You can get 650 on FanDuel.
Ooh.
That's what I'm kind of like. Ooh.
All right.
I might single bet that. I wouldn't put in the parlay. The other game I'm going to go to finish off the day. What about a Jaden Reed touchdown at plus 170?
Ooh, he's due for a big game. I like that. There's a lot of options in Green Bay, but Jaden Reed, this could be a nice little showcase game, Sunday night or Thursday night, the Thanksgiving finale. I would take that. Give me a little Jaden Reed, sure.
Our parlay goes for plus 27.45. $25 would win you $686.45.
That's a nice turducken, brother.
That
is turducken and some whiskey. Let's go.
Ooh.
Let's do it.
I was thinking about what the name of the podcast, but let's do that. Turducken and whiskey. Why not?
There you go.
Folks, we'll be back because if you remember when the Super Bowl comes around, Degenerates got the Super Bowl right here. Andy will be back later on. We're going to wrap it up, do a proper fantasy football episode. But for today, we gave you some props, gave you some betting lines. Go win some money, eat your turkey, drink your whiskey. For Andy McNamara, I'm Griff. 3:30 episode in the bag. Happy Thanksgiving to all our friends down south.